Okay, guys, so the other day, thanks to nukethefridge.com, I got to see an early screening of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I'd like to share my thoughts. Overall, this was a really funny film. It was awesome, it was full of action. I grew up with the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy films, and although the third film completely killed the franchise, when I first saw Spider-Man on the big screen, it inspired me and it just reminded me why I love movies, and in particular superhero movies. The film deals with a lot. Reason for it is a 2 hour and 20-minute long film. I do like that films are getting longer, but if you don't format it correctly and if you put too much material or too much characters, it can seem like it's dragging on. Like I said, the film deals with a lot. Peter's on and off again relationship with Gwen Stacy. They touch on the reason why his parents are no longer in the picture. His long lost best friend Harry Osborne comes back into his life, and as well, of course, is dealing with the main protagonist Electro. So the film does seem overcrowded, but surprisingly, it's not because of the villains. If you recall the posters, they depict Green Goblin, Electro, and the Rhino. However, the Rhino is only in this film for like about 15 minutes or so. One thing this film tried to include was they showed why Peter's parents are dead, or why they're no longer in his life. I believe they could have included this in the first film as opposed to trying to shove it in this one. Although in the comics, the reason for them being killed is a little bit different. They have a different motive. I believe they were agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I like how they're making the effort to stick with the source material. As you may or may already know, Sony plans to stick with Spidey for a long, long time. So to sustain their film rights, they plan to release more Spider-Man films, as well as some spin-offs like Venom and even the Sinister Six film. The entire Amazing Spider-Man 2 film, it does include clues and nods to the team that they will be forming, especially in the last scene that touches a little lightly on the topic. At the end credit scene, they suggest that we'll be seeing a Green Goblin, a Dr. Octopus, Vulture, Kraven, Rhino, and what could be either Mysterio or the Chameleon. In this film, Harry Osborne takes over his father's company after his death, and he promotes his assistant Felicia. If you didn't know, Felicia Hardy goes on to become the Black Cat. I like how they included her in this film, and I'm really curious to see what they'll be doing with this character. In the comics, she's sort of like Marvel's version of Catwoman, and has a small relationship with Spidey. Okay, so now, spoiler country, guys. If you guys do not want to know, if you don't want me to spoil this film for you, I suggest you mute it or just go to a different YouTube video. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Emma Stone character Gwen Stacy dies. I'll let that sink in for a little bit. So when it comes to this character, I'm split down the middle because I really, really, really love Gwen Stacy. I really love Emma Stone, how she portrayed her. I love Emma Stone. I've been following her since Superbad, and she just does a wonderful job in this character. But the reason for that, I didn't want her to die, is because I love her. I love her relationship with Peter Parker and that awkwardness. But I really like and I respect Mark Webb for sticking to the source material. As like I said, they do plan on making 2 more Spider-Man films. So with this in mind, they're going to have to replace Gwen Stacy. They could either use Felicia Hardy for a little while, or they could use Mary Jane. They'll probably go with the Mary Jane route, but there are also other love interests. But anyways, so I'm really, really sad. It really struck me in the theater. If I was by myself, I probably would have cried. But she's dead, and I like how they showed how they depicted it in slow motion. There's 3 parts in the film before her death that you think it's gonna happen, so you're just waiting for it, and it's not there, and then you're like, okay, they're gonna keep her alive, and then she happens to fall down again, and he catches her, and then the third and final time they shoot it in slow mo, and you slowly see Gwen Stacy fall to her death, and he shoots a web, he catches her right before like a foot he hits the floor, but her neck snaps and she dies. I also like how they showed Peter Parker mourning her death for not just a day or two, for actually sticking with her. And another reason why I respect this is because it's very important to the Spider-Man mythos. With this death of Gwen Stacy, it forever changes him in the way he looks at things and the way he loves and the way he grows as a human being. It's if they didn't shoot this, it would be like Bruce Wayne's parents didn't get killed, which would affect the story humongously, given that the origin of Batman is what shaped him and to become the person he becomes. So my hats off to Mark Webb for this scene.